Sure.
Why don't you start, Ariane,
So
also
Jose
known as Jose?
Soltero. Yeah, we'll start like that. My first name is Jose Soltero, or first name Jose, last name Soltero. My middle name is Ariane. That's what I go by. It's actually pronounced Ariane, but since first grade, it's like the kids couldn't roll their R's, so it basically got transitioned into Ariane from there.
Yeah, Ariane is much better than
Right?
Jose. I
Doesn't
would
that
go with
sound a
that
lot?
too. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot sexier.
my dad is always like, God, they're just like slaying your name. It's not what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You
your
Um,
said
fault.
that, to ladies with an accent, a little Spanish accent. Oh my
exactly.
God, panties are dropping right there and then.
But yeah, so that's the name. I am a coach. I do, I guess whatever you want to call it. It can be neurocentric coaching. It could be life coaching, strength coaching, health coaching, performance, all of the above. And yeah, I met Miles at a gym that we used to work at in Palo Alto, California. And then I moved out to Texas, and I'm here now, just doing my thing, working
You,
from home.
your guys' eyes meet from across the gym, and you
There's
just
a
have to go
twinkle.
up and, hey, you need a spot.
But yeah, that's I guess a good intro on myself. Whoever wants to take it off next.
Miles Sanchez.
Yeah,
I'm a
is that your middle name as well, or do
What's
it's
the
actually
secret?
Blake, but there's not a big story behind it. But yeah, call me Miles. But I'm a brain-based coach too, so we created this podcast to talk about like wisdom and behavior.
I don't know what I'm doing on this podcast.
What are you doing here?
There's wisdom in everything. There's wisdom in honestly in the stories that you've been putting about. I started following you, maybe a little over a week ago. I swear I get a nice chuckle every morning when I look at your memes that you post.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of it, is just trying to spread some smiles and laughs. That's it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really do much else on Instagram other than push out, my wife and I's YouTube channel. But yeah, I just like to spread the laughs. Have a
Yeah.
little bit of a dark humor, like silly stuff, and like to spread it.
Yeah.
Totally.
I didn't have much of an intro, but you can go ahead. I mean, I met you, years ago when you worked with Alyssa.
Yeah, it's kind
on,
of crazy. So yeah,
yeah.
my name is Mike. Actually, funny enough, it's really Michael Patrick. It's kind of the typical Filipino thing, is your first name's actually two names. But what's interesting is anytime, any sort of like government documentation or any sort of application, they always think that I messed up on the application and put, my middle name as my first name accidentally. So everything gets messed up and have to clear it out. Thanks, mom and dad. No, but yeah, so I am a content creator. It's like every other filmmaker out there, started out wanting to be just a director. But, just things evolve. I ended up becoming, getting into cinematography, editing, and they all just kind of combine into what people call videographer these days. And these days I'm focused solely on building a YouTube channel with my wife.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the YouTube channel about?
So the YouTube channel, it's mainly a weekly vlog that me and my wife do, where, it's a vlog just like any other vlogs, but our twist on it is we set goals for each week. Right. It's kind of it's a good way to make sure we stay productive, especially during, these days when everyone's just staying at home. And it's made a huge difference for me, because I'm the kind of guy, if I didn't have these weekly goals, I'd probably be playing video games countless hours, because I'm a video game addict. So, it's really just helped kind of keep me on point and get my day, would start my days off and my weeks off with purpose and achieving things and driving towards a bigger goal.
Definitely, yeah.
Hitting your marks.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, I also started the Hanging with Mike podcast, which Miles knows about now. So, I love listening to podcasts, and the podcasts that I love listening to the most aren't the ones that are really overly produced, the ones that are just conversations. And that's really what I like. And so my twist on it is, since it is on YouTube, is that each episode is going to have some sort of cinematic intro. And that way, I get to practice and exercise my filmmaking skill too, which is the whole point of me, leaving my media agency job a year ago, was want to help my wife with her nonprofit with my video skills, but also to just focus on doing projects that I actually want to do, that'll, develop my skills in the way that I want it to. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And just one thing, I watched your last episode, The Returner. Awesome. So awesome. That little brief intro that you're talking about, that cinematic intro, so cool. I mean, it's I've never seen that before, and I also am, I don't want to say I'm well versed in like the podcasting realm or looking at videographers
Just say it.
and
You're
stuff
well
like that.
versed. Just say it.
I'm a pro, I'm a pro watcher. I basically, I watch a lot. So, and it was, I loved it. It was a good thing to capture myself. Obviously, I like kind of, I guess, I don't know, you almost become obviously when you're the user of one of these platforms like YouTube, like you also, it's not just you dishing stuff out. You also like love being on the other end of it, right? You love being the audience. So I got a kick out of your last video.
Cool.
Yeah, we got to link that to the description.
You got to say you got a kick out of 2 miles. Come on. You're dropping the ball here.
Claps all
shower
around.
me with the praise. Come on. Is my mic level a little bit hot for you guys, or it's all right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
It's hot.
It's hot. It is hot.
I know. I mean, it's hot. I should say it's a little loud.
How is your partner? Your what's his name? I want to say Matt, the guy that you brought over to the house when you guys were shooting.
Well, I guess we should go into a little bit about how you and I met then, Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
There's a bit of a story. So I think it was 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
San Jose.
Like that. Yeah. So I was at a point in my career where, kind of like now, I just really wanted to build my portfolio with projects that, because the thing is, in terms of videography, you only get the kind of work that you actually show on your website and your reel. So if you want to be hired for, fun branding projects, well, you better have that on your portfolio then, because otherwise people are only going to associate you with whatever it is that's on your website. So I wanted to get more fun branding stuff on my reel. And I had this strategy where I was just going to reach out to local people, local brands on Instagram that I actually like, that I feel like, oh, you know what, there's a fun story there. I feel like I can do something. And Miles's girlfriend, Melissa Chang, befriend your body, move confidently, right? That's her slogan, if you guys don't know. I don't actually, is that still her slogan, Miles?
I don't think she uses that anymore. She's I don't know if you've been following her all, but she's launched like an online program for women as like a group coaching.
Oh, just it's called sexist about equality.
And they talk about her slogan now is like the better expert. So just trying to help people become better experts of themselves.
But anyway, so Alyssa, I found Alyssa online and I read her story on her website and I was really taking it. There's a great parallel. I don't know if you guys follow bodybuilding, if you guys know who Dorian Yates is. But Dorian Yates was, 6-time Mr. Olympia. And when he retired, he kind of went through this existential crisis because all of a sudden he had no idea who he was anymore. And he went through this transformation. And Alyssa very much went through something very similar after she won that fitness competition. And she ended up gaining a lot of weight and got depressed. And she had to find herself all over again, redefine what fitness was for her. So I was really moved by her story. I reached out to Alyssa to see if she'd be interested in having a video done by me, and she was. And then that's how I met Miles. And then Miles was basically a groupie during the shoot, just hanging out
in the corner,
asking me about the gear because he was really interested about it, everything. So and then Sam, my buddy Sam, was with me helping me out.
Sam, yes, Sam.
Yeah.
You guys still close?
Yeah. We're best buds. We're basically brothers, and I do this thing with him called Taco Tours. It's actually his baby. It's his dream to go to every city in America and try out tacos and review them.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm the co-host with him on that.
Oh, tacos.
Yeah.
It's been pretty hard to get out though. He's just been doing stuff local.
No, it's actually really easy. I know I think places were supposed to close down over here, but I think people just got tired of Governor Newsom's shit.
Yeah,
Quite
definitely.
honestly, they just stayed open because people need to make a living. If you want people to stay in, not work and everything, well, you got to support them. How are they going to afford rent? How are they going to afford food? So I think people just got tired of it, and yeah, we had no problems getting tacos at different places.
I feel like I saw that too. I don't know. Like I said, I went on as soon as he mentioned your name, I was like, I want to know, about him. I feel like it's just it's the best way to kind of get to know somebody is sadly, I mean, in this day and age through like social media sometimes. Um, and, and I don't know how I don't know how I must have got to that, but I definitely remember very clearly seeing like a bunch of pictures of tacos and people in masks. So it was obviously recent.
Yeah. I push all that out on my Instagram
That's probably it
profile
then.
too. Always anytime he posts something, I always try to share it.
But yeah, I feel like that's an awesome way to continue to like, I don't know, just interact and like socialize and just get out. I know that without like something like even this podcast, I've told Miles a thousand times that it can get depressing, like life has changed a lot. And even if you did maybe work from home or do a lot of, of that style of work in front of a computer for a long time, it's just a different feel now because maybe you have to do it. You don't get to go out and go out to dinner, go out to lunch, whatever.
But over there in Texas, isn't it basically wide open? I know it is in Austin.
It is, but I think coming from California, I've treated it like, and all my clients are literally from California right now. So I'm training them all online. I kind of almost feel like I moved, but I didn't integrate myself into the culture. And I'm also, I'm one that I live with my father right now. He has diabetes and asthma. So I'm not going to go out and get, be free and bring something home.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I thought that was, it sounds cool to be able to continue and, do some type of food search like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm the kind of person that I need a change of scenery. I'm so much as, the nature of making videos is when you're editing, yeah, you're spending a lot of time just in front of a computer. But, even just like going outside and walking, during the day, I'm the kind of person that needs that. I can't be cooped up inside all day. I will get a little bit of that cabin fever. My wife is the complete opposite. I mean, her life has basically stayed the same during this whole quarantine time. So it's like, everything's good for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, yeah, I think that's really cool. I kind of missed that. There's something about like going out and grabbing food that was actually, I can't remember. It was maybe right before I left to Texas. I actually took Miles to a taco truck in Redwood City with my brother. It was called Al Pastor Papi.
Okay.
And they're well known, I guess, in like the Mission District of the city, and they go to Oakland and they travel around. But it was, yeah, I mean, I'm a taco guy myself, so.
Let me ask you this: what makes a good taco?
So it's really honestly, you need to have a good, high integrity, high quality tortilla. Last thing you want is your tortilla basically being soggy and falling apart. That's a big red flag we've noticed. Another thing is if there's lettuce on your taco, that's also usually a red flag because the base of a taco is essentially you got your protein. Obviously, you have your tortilla, and then you just have cilantro and onions. That's really what it's about. That's when you know it's something that's authentic, and they'll put their salsa on it and everything. It's really how they season the meat and how they cook the meat. That's going to be the difference. So anytime you see a bunch of lettuce on there, that's a bad sign. That's usually
Slap that taco.
yeah, it's usually a sign that it's kind of more whitewashed. When we they're catering to a different crowd, so it's not good. But in terms of what makes it good, my best piece of advice would be to go there right when they open, because the meat, the quality of the meat, how juicy it is it's really different when they're cooking it fresh in the morning versus when they've had it heated for a few hours already and you have it there at lunchtime. There's a huge difference.
So you guys do like breakfast tacos?
Not breakfast tacos. We'll just go there when they open because that's gonna be the it's gonna be the freshest it's ever gonna be
Yeah.
as it's ever gonna be. Some places will cook as soon as you order, but a lot of these places, they'll just cook a big amount and then they'll just keep it warm throughout the day because it just makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of funny. As a Filipino, I've kind of become a taco expert. I was just eating so many damn tacos, at this point. I think I've tried 60 different places. I think my buddy for the end of the year video, he did some stats, and yeah, I've eaten a ridiculous amount of tacos. I think I average 20 tacos a month, something like that, all from different places. Yeah, surprisingly, my body hasn't shown it too much.
Where would you say the best tacos are?
There's a few places, that jump to mind right away. Surprisingly enough, Napa had some really good tacos. You wouldn't think so. But if you want to go on a romantic picnic date, wine and tacos.
Wine and
there you go.
tacos.
Yeah, Napa. There's this taco truck called. I'm gonna butcher it because I can never pronounce it right, but I think it's Tacos El Muchacho Alegre. And oh my God, the carnitas taco there, it is fantastic. Because with carnitas, obviously, like I can go on tacos for days now.
Yeah. I didn't know this about you.
I wasn't.
I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican, and I didn't even know you like tacos.
because of my buddy Sad, he had me join him on these taco tours, and no, because with carnitas, you can kind of go two routes. You can go the succulent, juicy route, or you can go down the crunchy route. And so
can't do the same. Can't do both.
Yeah. So that El Muchacho Alegre, they go more towards the crunchy, and man, the flavor is just fantastic.
Damn, making me hungry.
I'm more of a burrito guy, to tell you the truth.
You know what? So was I, but once you start having tacos, I'm telling you, you might get converted. There's something about just the form factor of the tacos, and I don't know, they're just more mobile. And I know I just got tired of like the burrito, kind of like that, putting that in my mouth. I guess there's something about that you enjoy a lot, Miles. But no, but
I wanted to paint this picture just and let me know what you think of it. But like the fact that you guys are like doing this and creating this content around like tacos, it's like you get so much knowledge on this like topic. Do you guys feel like you would ever like do something in the future and like make your own tacos with all that experience, or is that kind of like outside the picture right now? Not thinking
for
about
me,
that.
I mean, I hate cooking, so that's definitely not in the picture for me. I'm definitely much just love the eating half of
critic.
food. Yeah. Sam's actually quite the chef. He'll cook stuff that's like 5-star quality, restaurant quality stuff. I've approached him before about hey, do you ever actually want to just put up your own like small place since you love cooking so much? But for him, he says that kind of takes the fun out of it once it becomes a job. He likes cooking for friends, for his girlfriend, and all that, but he doesn't really want to take it further. But who knows? I mean, maybe that's just an excuse too. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that when people say something like my wife she's an amazing artist, and I really try to encourage her to do something with it. I think you can build an audience with that, but she also says the same thing. It's like, I don't want to turn it into a job. It's just going to feel like a responsibility. It's not going to be fun anymore. Do you think that's legit, or is that the mind just, coming up with an excuse?
Good question. Do you want me to hit this one?
You can.
I think we talk ourselves into like wanting, like there's like me asking that question is like trying to see if that sparks your interest. There's something that is very interesting about doing something that no one knows about or knows nothing to do with, like you're not sharing it. And so I could see like how it could be a job or it could be like it could take all the fun out of it. I feel like that's like a perfect way of thinking about it. And I think we don't necessarily have enough of that. I feel like we're like kind of like looking to create for people to like consume. But what about like the other side of the coin where it's like there's actually little things that we do in our day that like make us feel good about ourselves, and we shouldn't, I don't know, we don't have to share it. We don't have to like I don't know. We can always do stuff for ourselves too. And I think that's a good example of like she appreciates it so much that she does it for herself.
Okay, so in your eyes, it's not an excuse. It's a legit argument.
Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah, I can see that point of view. What about you, Ariane? Did I say that correctly?
You said it perfectly. I actually was just kind of blown away. I had to take my head back for a sec. I want to say something similar that I don't know if I can necessarily say concretely that I love movement more or less than when I started coaching movement versus when I just like to move like as an athlete. Something changed. I think there's pains in doing something for work, for money, for a living, because there's a weird dependency that you have on it also versus just wanting to do something. So it's a weird, there's a weird distinction there that I haven't even really come to terms with all the time. But I do feel I have natural feelings towards like wanting to coach or not feeling like I want to coach. But I think the origin, whether it's art or videography or movement, I think that is something. It's important. It's sacred. It's something. If you really love it, it's important to keep it. I don't know, maybe in its original form. I was going to actually ask you right before you mentioned that about your wife, if you consider videography and all the cinema, I guess, that you kind of indulge in to be like more work and less play, or how do you see that with yourself?
It's funny is the way you say videography, you say videography. I've never heard anyone like throw in that extra syllable. It's so unique.
Sorry, that might be that might be a miss.
I like fucking with people, so don't worry about it. Can I cuss on this thing?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
I do love to say
Be
fuck
free.
every now and
Spread
then.
your wings.
Yeah, have you guys watched that the history of swear words on Netflix?
I saw the trailer.
It's actually really good. And Nick Cage is great as host. It's actually really interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna go off on tangent. I will answer your question. What was the question again? I already forgot.
If you, I guess, considering what you do for work, you're mentioning reaching out to brands maybe early on in your career, or do you consider that work now, like creating videos for people?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of when you start out, you're just making videos for yourself because no one's gonna hire you, and you're just trying to learn. And I've kind of come full circle with that. I've gone through the whole thing where I'm making videos for clients and brands. I've done the agency route where I was making videos for clients and brands again, and I just gotten to the point where honestly all I really want to do this one is just make the stuff that I want to make, and it doesn't really have anything. Well, it has something to do with making videos, but it's just kind of more my outlook on life in general. Is I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of guy. um you guys know who Tim Ferriss is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I read his book, the incredible book 4 Hour Work Week,
Mm-hmm.
years ago. That's kind of what really kind of started cementing what I already felt. I just didn't know how to define it. Whereas time is the most important asset we have. We can't ever get it back, right? And the way I just view working a 9 to 5 job is you are just renting out your time. I'm never gonna get that back. I'm only getting older and older. And at the end of the day, what do I get out of that 9 to 5 job? I just get a paycheck. But the thing is, you're never going to become independently wealthy working a 9 to 5 job. That's not the way that system is set up, right? You're essentially just a commodity. And so the way I looked at it was, well, if I'm going to work 40 hours a week or even more so, I'm better off just doing that for myself then. Who knows when it's going to pay off, but in the long run, I'm going to reap way more benefits from doing it for myself rather than for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so it's really more so about that. And you can apply that to videography, as Ariane
Sorry.
likes to say. Or you can apply that to like what you guys do. You guys have your own businesses now, coaching and consulting, right? Instead of working for 24-hour fitness as a personal trainer, I might as well just have your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's just the way I look at it, because my wife, she was working for the Alameda County of Registrar of Voters maybe 2 years ago, and she was telling me the story where they were hiring people from all over the place just for temp work, and one of her coworkers was this, I don't know, 53-year-old woman who had just got laid off from her job, and she has 3 kids to support. And like, what, I mean, that really just validated everything I was thinking. It's like, these companies, you can't really rely on them 100% to do what's right for you, because that's not what companies are about. They're
Mm-hmm.
about their bottom line. And I'm not saying that's an evil thing, but that's just the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there to take care of you. They're there to take care of their bottom line. And so it just seems foolish to me to rely and trust on companies to take care of you. You're better off betting on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
And
beautiful. I mean, you explained it so well.
Well, I've thought about it for a very long time, and I've had
Mm-hmm.
many conversations with people about it. And there are times where I wish I could just be a 9 to 5 person. I wish I had that mindset, because life is so much easier if you're cool with that. It's just such an easier path than trying to create something of your own. But that's just not who I am.
Is there a story that maybe you could share with us that like really kind of pushed you forward on that like process that you
Oh
had?
yeah. So when I was working as a producer editor at the media agency last year, there was this one project where I can't. I'm trying to say this, so I'm not going to name any specific names. So I don't want to
Name
get
drop.
people in trouble. I won't name the agency, but one of the clients the agency had was a city, and the project was essentially every year they kind of like a State of the Union. They do a State of the City, but they hire us to make, essentially it's a glorified PowerPoint presentation, and we use our videography skills to make it look prettier. Put in animations, different clips, things like that. And so I was actually working on another project, and we hired a freelancer to work on this project. And then after 3 days of him working on this project, I finally checked his progress, and it was just complete shit. It wasn't gonna be like usable at all. And since it was my fault because I hadn't really checked his progress, the first few days, because I just trusted, well, they hired this guy, he must know what he's doing. And I'm busy doing another project. So I kind of just took responsibility for it. It's like, okay, this is my bad. I should have checked his progress earlier. So that whole weekend, I spent my weekend working on that project, this project that I just have no interest in whatsoever. I don't want to do it at all. So here I am, wasting 48 hours of my own existence working on a project that I don't want anything to do with, that's not going to develop my skills in any way at all. It's like, what the hell am I doing here? And for a meager paycheck. This is like, yeah. So like I said, I'd already been thinking, like, going down this kind of road of, well, I mean, the truth is, I've always kind of gone back and forth, and I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I've always gone back and forth from doing my own thing, then, really struggling with that, and then hopping on board with a production company or something, getting a full-time gig again and getting some stability, then me getting tired of that and going back into doing my own thing. And so I guess hopefully that was the last time that I went through that part of the cycle where I went through a 9 to 5, because that was really just, I couldn't believe I was spending my weekend working on this project that was just such crap.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I think it's just interesting that it it happens more than once, you know, and that's normal. Where you kind of find yourself going back and forth. Some people don't even do anything, you know. They'll just stay. They'll stay feeling a type of way.
Well, I
and
mean,
never
marriage
address
had a
it.
lot to do with it, to
Oh,
be perfectly honest. I mean, the reason I jumped onto the media agency gig was because of my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
My marriage needed it at that point, or that stability, because I'd lived overseas for a big part of my 20s, and that's where I met my wife. So, I don't know how much you guys know about how immigration works, but, when you first get married, it's not as if my wife can join me right away. I have to petition her, for a visa, and that has to get processed and all that. So when she finally came over, I just quit my other full-time gig because I just got tired of it. I wanted to do my own thing, and it was really unfair to her because here she was, she left everything behind to join me over here, and I didn't provide like a stable home base for her to get adjusted to her new life.
Mm.
And then that went on for a bit because, like, I'm a dreamer. I'm gonna keep chasing my thing, but it just got really bad, our arguments, and it just became really clear that it was really unfair to her. And so that's why I went on, to the full-time gig at the media agency.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, our situation changed. And after about a year, she was at a point where we were at a point where I didn't really need to do that 9 to 5 anymore. It was like, okay, there's no reason for me to stick around.
Mm-hmm. What do you have a piece of advice or um, something that you could share with the audience that like helped you in that time?
Um, well, honestly, for me, the whole journey of me getting into videography, filmmaking, wanting to chase after something I actually enjoy started by getting screwed over for a promotion when I was working in the video games industry.
Mm.
So I was working in the QA pits, as a tester. I'm not going to name the company here as well, but the thing you have to understand about at least my experience in the video game industry and from what I heard from other friends at other video game companies is they don't like to hire from within. They don't like to grow their people. They don't like to promote. They like to hire from without. So, what the very, few times that they do promote from within, you can just imagine the competition that goes for that and the backstabbing that
Mm.
happens, right? So I was a victim of one of getting backstabbed really hard. And I think I was 31 at that point, and that's when I started like thinking, like, okay, you know what? I really have to make a change here because 5 years can easily go by and I'd still be stuck doing this exact same thing.
Mm.
Right. So I had to hit kind of a rock bottom. Something had kind of had to, like shake me to wake up. Because, like I said, I lived overseas for so many years. And then when I came back in 2010, the job market was just complete shit here. I was just happy to have a job, even in just a QA job, you know? So there's always that fear of leaving that because you don't know how you're going to pay your bills or anything like that. But it was being screwed over so badly that kind of took that fear away from me. Because at that point, it's like, well, what the hell? What have I got to lose? I already worked my ass off for 2.5 years for this company, and look what I got from it.
Mm.
Like nothing really, if you think about it. So that's when I just kind of started doing my research and started planning, my departure.
Mm.
So I don't know what kind of advice I would give people. Um, I would say just be honest about what it is you want out of life. If you're okay with doing the 9 to 5 thing and just enjoying your time off of work and enjoying your weekends, hey, then great. More power to you. But if you're not that kind of person, Like you got to get started right away. Well, it doesn't mean you have to quit your job right away, but you got to start looking for what you want. You know, whenever you're off of work, do your research or wake up early, go after it, do it on the weekends. Because if you're not that kind of person, you're never going to be that kind of person.
Mm.
The employepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get rid of the employee part, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. That's inspiring. I think it's probably similar. I mean, I can speak for myself when I think even in the coaching industry, it's same thing. You know, it's like this. It's a form of art that you are constantly debating whether or not you can do it better on your own or stick with this, company that is slashing your salary maybe in half compared to what you could get if you had but they're doing a bunch of, obviously things for you that you don't know how to do on your own. They're almost kind of, and I'm sure maybe this is the same with the media company, but you're using maybe your raw talent, but then you don't discover the other skill sets because you learn to wear. I'm sure you've worn a number of hats since leaving like these bigger companies.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you have to become a businessman
Mm-hmm.
or a businesswoman
Mm-hmm.
or business X these days. But you know what? That's just the reality of anything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not in it for yourself, you go on interviews. You have to sell yourself. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable with that. You have to know how to do that. So yeah, definitely those are the skills that I had to learn the hard way. I guess so. How does it work then? Because I actually was a personal trainer for quite a few years when I lived overseas, back when I was actually in good shape. So how does it work for you guys then? If you're like doing your brain-based coaching and but you're working under a company, do you guys all have the same philosophy, or how does that like what's
uh well, we're both, I think this conversation is fascinating because I think I've had my own journey in that sense of, ups and downs and changing jobs, but I, I think what happened with me is I think I got pushed into this position really fast, and it was like, that I'm not doing anything for myself in the long run if I'm not doing like something that I'm passionate about. So there's like this void that you're not really meeting. Um, so like when you take this purpose of helping someone, there's so many different people that have different viewpoints on helping someone. So when you went into like a gym or something like that, there might be like clashing, or there might be like, this is the right way of doing something, and you might not even believe that, or it might not be actually helping anyone. um so you develop these skills on your experiences and all the science and stuff out there, and you try to package it up for this person, and people just packages it up differently. Some work, some don't. um Inside of a gym, it would be, I don't know, it would be awkward sometimes. Like, you want to make friends with someone, and they might be like really intense, and that's probably not your jazz. Like, I don't really want to be intense and like always like hitting the weights. I think I've been there, done that kind of thing. So there's like different forms of health that you can gravitate towards. I don't know if Ariane could
it's
elaborate on that.
Aryan, man? Get it right,
Um,
man. Come on.
Sorry.
yeah, I would say the same. That yeah, when you work for a place, let's say like a gym, on average, you're just gonna have a bunch of coaches with their own spin on it, and it's just like hopefully the person that owns the gym or the manager of the floor, or in whatever case, someone who's overlooking it creates a space where you're comfortable enough to like bring your own style and your own taste. But that's not always the case, obviously, as Miles kind of spoke about. And I've kind of experienced similar atmospheres where it's a lot of clashing. It's a lot of egos, especially in the coaching business. It's like a lot of these people come from, sorry to say it, like they're just like gym rats, like they're the people that like you said, love hitting the weights. They're intense as shit, and they bring that into their coaching experience. So and that doesn't really mesh well with someone that's, let's say, on the health, on focusing more on health and less on being fit, you know. So that's where maybe I've experienced people that like it's either like you enjoy the intense nature of that, and you kind of just like work around it somehow, or you just like stay to yourself. Luckily, the last gym that where I met Miles, where we all worked at, was very good at integrating multiple styles, and there wasn't a lot of this like ego that you would experience in a lot of other gyms. So it's really the place. And then obviously some people take that and do their own thing with it. But yeah, I think that if I were to ever maybe go back to a gym and do things, and I've kind of been talking to my fiance about that, because it's scary for me. It's like it's something that I feel a little bit of fear when I know that I'm going to have to meet, let's say, 5 to 15 other trainers, and it's like being accepted into this like thing, like I used to do jujitsu. It's like this. I wouldn't call it a cult, but it's like they're going to show you a tough time, you know. Depending on the crew and how they accept you, or how they think about you, or how they think about themselves. So it's a weird like beast. It's hard to, I don't know. It's like I have a love hate with it. So I'm enjoying the work from home thing where I don't have to maybe clash a lot with other people. But it's an experience. It definitely is.
Well, it sounds almost just kind of like a high school
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
environment where
definitely.
cliques form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be accepted by the cool crowd?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys required to land? Because, like I said, I used to be a trainer. When I was a trainer, at least overseas in the Philippines, you were required to work the floor and land your own clients. Approaching people. Does that work the same way for you guys, or did they sell the packages for you and they just line you up with clients?
Depends on the place.
Yeah.
I think you get a little both. I think, just to comment on where we were, you have to be a contractor. You have to run your own business. So the more that you get into that type of space, like, people are serious. Like, this is like my work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, doing this on the weekends or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you can get yourself closer to, running your show, then you have less to do with kind of like this, like, loudness that you're feeling, because you're not making that much money with the skills that you're doing, and then you're having things be done for you, maybe you're getting clients and stuff like that. But the amount of time that you have to put into actually making enough money to live on is where you're, back to your story, like, I'm working 40 hours, I'm seeing 15 people, and they're telling me how they're doing and what's going on. And is there space for you to actually have like this, fill your void, work out yourself, or train yourself, and have relationships, have hobbies? So it's just like everything else, like, it starts to consume you, because you're trying to use your skills in order to, like, I don't know, make more money. So I think early on you start to realize, like, you need to you need to you need to learn skills. You need to figure out how you can work closer with people. At least in my eyes, like, the closer that you can hold a conversation, have communication skills, be able to hold space for someone, um, and really have like a like a conversation with the person, I think the better you're going to be. If you're, for some people can get away with, like, you know, being told what to do. And that's like not my job. Like, I don't tell you what you need to do. I help you undercover what your choices are, and what would be what would serve you in the long run. So, and that could be many forms. There's not one way. I don't know if I answered the original question.
You answered it right at the beginning. You said it's a little bit of both. It
Mm-hmm.
really depends on the place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So where you guys are both at right now is you're both just doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think curveball, everyone had a pivot. It's like either you're going to keep on coaching online and you're going to be good at it and enjoy it, or you're going to, find something else in whatever capacity you can find.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate because the clients that I was working with, they made that transition really well. I'm glad that I made that transition. But now it's like, how do I still run a business on my own, which I was already doing, but in this different way?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think it's similar for me. I mean, it is, I haven't been a part of a gym in a long time that sold like packages for me and aligned me with clients per se. Um, Performance had a weird way where there was almost like like he said, you all had your own business under the space. You were all your own entity renting space from me in a way. And people would come in through the door, obviously, and we'll kind of just, it's like leads. It's just like, oh, they're looking for a coach. We're not gonna take a cut or anything like that, but we just like align you and make sure they pay this the basically the headspace so that they can train here with you, which is kind of cool. I enjoyed that style. I wouldn't mind being a part of something like that again one day. But it's hard to find. I've never found, to be completely honest with you guys, I've never found anywhere like Performance Gains before that. So it is, it's like a dime a dozen. It's hard to find something like that that just like fits real well and everyone's just, kind of hanging out and doing their thing. And it's not this like numbers game where I'm sure like maybe what you've been a part of, Mike, in the past, or maybe not. It's like, it's this corporate atmosphere where you're on the floor and you're, like you said, you're kind of like hunting for these clients. You're looking for like, hey, can I don't know, maybe like get insert here, like, oh, your form could, you mind me talking about your form, or if you want to meet up and I can help you with some things. And you're kind of always like looking for like to poach clients in a way, which I always found to be so like, I always felt like I was doing something wrong. Like I was a salesman on the floor, just like being so intrusive. Um, and I know that for someone like me, I wouldn't want someone to like invade my space and tell me maybe like, hey, do you want to come over here and I can show you some things? So I was very like quiet into myself.
there's a
So
new girl
yeah,
on the
exactly. Hey,
treadmill in the
go
corner.
get her. Just like it's a weird mentality. So yeah, I'm thankful that we didn't come from something recently. Our last gym wasn't really that type of space.
That was exactly the environment that I was under when I was a trainer, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stand it because like my point of view is, hey, you guys hired a trainer, not a salesman, right? It's like
Exactly.
my skill set is training people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm certified in. You guys want me to work for like a car salesman,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, and I could not stand it. And I had quotas to meet and everything. It was horrible. I mean, though that being said, I feel like after everything I've been through in terms of videography and landing my own clients and everything, I'd probably be much better at that job now on how to talk to people and how to sell
Right.
without selling. No hard sells at all, just talking to people and asking questions. I probably wouldn't mind it so much now, but I just could never square that circle of, hey, we're here to help people get in shape, but in reality, we're here to sell packages, and that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was not a good experience. I didn't last too long at that gym. I eventually moved to a smaller private gym where it wasn't that way at all.
Mm-hmm.
There was no pressure, and I thrived there. And their what's it called, their share of the package was a lot better too. I think you get 75% of the personal training package, and they take a 25% cut,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
way better than when I was working at this big chain gym
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines. I think you're only getting 33% of the package, which made no sense
Wow. Yeah.
whatsoever. It's like, oh, well, what's the sense there? Like, I'm doing most of the work.
Right.
I was like, these members are paying a membership fee to use the gym. So why in the world are you guys taking 67% of the cut? And I guess that's just kind of always the way I've looked at it. Is this a fair deal that I'm getting here?
We're giving you the clients though.
Are they really?
Yeah,
They're providing the pool, right? But then again, those members are already paying their membership fee.
We set them up. We had the front desk set them up, so they're yours.
No, that's
so
the thing.
that's
There
gonna
was no
take.
setup at all. I would literally prowl, the gym floor, and right away, the kind of people that you're effective with. So you get kind of like you're like the Terminator. You're analyzing each person and stats come up. All right, this is a female, 30 to 35. Oh, that's my target zone right there. I'm really good with them.
Totally.
Funny. Yeah, I remember walking into work and being like people tossed onto my schedule, and then like you have the session with them, and they're just like, it's like super awkward because they don't know me, and like they don't trust me, and you're like, and then they leave like, oh, like that wasn't really helpful because I didn't open up at all. They were just telling me, yeah, no, I want to lose weight. It has to go deeper. You have
That's
to
kind of like
actually
a
have
date in
personal.
that way, right?
It
They're
is
giving you one-word responses. It's not a good sign.
Not a good date.
Yeah, it's not a good date at all. It's not a good
Like,
sign.
is this going well?
Yeah. The client's gonna break up with you. It's not you. It's me. Just want to focus on my career right now.
Totally. How do you, if you don't mind me kind of, making a little bit of a circle back to what you do now, because I'm really interested in I guess that side of things. Like I really enjoy your work from what I've seen so far. And is it, I guess in terms of business, how does that work out for yourself? Do you have a lot of people that maybe like approach you still for like just like freelance work? Is that what you?
No, because COVID pretty much killed the video industry,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's pretty much it's starting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking more so like really the bigger companies, movies,
Yeah.
nationwide commercials, and there's some video work that's coming back, but it's also really on the lower end too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like at this funny like position in terms of how far I got up the video ladder, where I definitely didn't reach, doing commercials for Nike,
Uh-huh.
things like that, but I'm definitely not a beginner either. I'm not gonna just do a video for anyone that approaches me. So it's kind of like this weird middle ground where
Mm-hmm.
you don't really charge enough to gain any credibility with brands like Nike or Apple, but you
Mm-hmm.
charge way too much for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of maybe there's some sort of parallel with the coaching you guys do. But
Mm-hmm.
at this point, honestly, my whole focus is just building my own audience because to me that's where the freedom is.
Totally.
I mean, and when I quit my job at the agency, my plan was to because I bought a Prius and it's like, oh, I'll drive Uber a few days a week, and I can guarantee a certain amount of income every
Mm-hmm.
month, and the rest of the time I was just going to work on building my own thing
Mm-hmm.
because I just saw that as a more fruitful way to spend my existence.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a cut and pay, but both me and my wife were okay with it. I could make enough driving for Uber to support us, and we can
Yeah.
both continue chasing our dreams. And she has her own nonprofit now, which is actually going really great.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
What is it? What's the name?
Smart City. So it's smart and then the letter CT. So it's like
Mm.
she's at the forefront of leading the smart city movement in Southeast Asia, particularly in the Philippines. So that was kind of the challenge we took on, because when it was becoming clear that that's what she really wanted to do, and like I said, when I got the Prius, that kind of opened up the whole Uber opportunity. Because before that, I was driving a 1995 Isuzu Trooper, getting 15 miles a gallon. It's like, okay, I need to stay at this full-time job. There's nothing else, I could do. But once I got, that 48 miles per gallon, I love it. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life. That's when I really started thinking about it. I said, okay, there's an opportunity here to really go after what we want. And so when it was clear that my wife, that Chris wanted to do, was going to stick with this nonprofit thing, and I got the Prius, I was like, okay, you know what? We had a conversation. I want to quit my job. I'm going to use my video skill set for you instead of for this company. And I'll figure out something for myself as well.
Awesome.
And, we've kind of just been going on that road ever since. And that was February 2020. So we've been at it for going on a year now. She's been at her nonprofit thing for a little bit earlier, a year and a half.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just no looking back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, actually, 2020 has been a great year for us, to be perfectly honest. I know a lot of people haven't had a great year. It's been tough, but I'm not gonna lie, it's been fantastic for us.
That's awesome. And it's good. And you found your own slice of happiness, it sounds like. Really what you wanted to do.
But even when we started pursuing our own thing, I went down the wrong path. So, I started this thing called Red Sea Visuals, where I was just gonna do content marketing consulting. Because it's just, if you do all the research, with I forget the name of the website, but if you do any research about content marketing these days, they say that's what it's all about. Keyword research based content, things like that. So that I kind of started putting myself in that direction and marketing myself as that, but my heart was never really into it. But that didn't stop me from putting in months of work, coming up with content, coming up with a brand, coming up with a strategy. And then for 2 months on YouTube, I put out, content as Red Sea Visuals, giving advice on how to do content marketing. And it was just horrible. I was just forcing it. It just wasn't what I got into, videography and filmmaking for. But it still took, months and months of hard work pursuing that for me to realize that, you know what, that's just not. I know it's supposed to be what I'm doing on paper. It's the smart move to remove myself from the physical labor of, videography, to really free myself up. But that's not what I enjoy. And I just, even at that point, I still had to really be honest with myself and accept what it is I really enjoy about it. So, I may never be removed from the physical labor of making videos, but that's okay because I do enjoy that part.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Do you, Miles? I felt the conviction when you told me to feel it.
Did you have that car when I met you?
No, I was driving the Trooper.
Okay.
The Trooper was great for, looking around a bunch of film gear, but man, it was just killing me on gas. I was spending close to $300 a month on gas alone. Right? Yeah, and then when I got the Prius, it went down to 75. So I was actually making money back when I got the Prius.
God.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the move,
I know I'm
honestly.
sounding like a spokesman for Toyota Prius, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Cut.
You have this like Toyota Prius little backdrop. You're like, oh yeah, the Prius. It just it really put a smile on my face. Couldn't do it without him.
Yeah. What do you guys drive? I'm curious.
I
have Toyota.
Yeah, same here. I have a
Toyota.
Toyota, but I have a truck. I think you what do you have, an SUV, Miles?
RAV4. Alyssa picked it out. I wanted the 4Runner.
Okay, so why did you let Alyssa pick it out?
Because the one I wanted was like $15,000
more,
$20,000 more.
Yeah. Those 4Runners are no joke now, dude. Yeah. Luckily, gas is cheap out here in Texas. It's like usually around $2 or less a gallon.
Oh yeah! Holy crap!
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I moved out here, I was like, thank the Lord. But
when did you move out there?
It was July. This last summer.
So you're part of that exodus out of California.
Oh yeah, just exiting. Yeah, I heard about there was like a website. I think there was like how to leave California or something like that.
We were definitely thinking about it too, but it doesn't make sense for us right now. We've got a really good situation, but
yeah, if you can last, I like my fiance says it all the time. sometimes it kind of eats me up inside because I wanted to come here. I genuinely did. Like, I thought about Texas for a long time before COVID, but she was just like, dude, my family are in California. Like, if it wasn't for how expensive California was, she was like, I would have stayed there my whole life. I wanted to see something else. I grew up in Palo Alto, so the Bay Area was like been my home. I know every inch of it, kind of thing.
You grew up on the rough streets of Palo Alto, huh?
Hey, back in the day, I say this to a lot of people because they're like, "Oh, you're from Palo Alto."
East Palo Alto.
I tell them that, like, when I grew up there, I mean, my parents moved there in like 1990, 1989. When I was growing up, it felt like a small town. Like, Silicon Valley was like maybe right then. So I didn't really feel like Palo Alto was what it is now until a lot later, you know? And so growing up middle school, even like early years in high school, I was just like, dude, this is where we grew up. Like, it's a quiet town, like the only thing the police have to do are break up our high school parties. There's nothing else in the city to crash. There's no crime. But now it's like, it's become this wild thing. So yeah, I don't know.
Where in
But yeah,
Texas are you
Texas
at?
is good. Where in Texas?
Yeah.
I'm about 25 minutes north of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So you're in a
Leander.
good spot then.
Austin
is right there, but it
right.
doesn't have all the new Californians like moving in.
Yeah,
it's probably a lot cheaper too than Austin, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we're fine. We're moving into our own. I'm living with my dad right now, but we're moving into an apartment in March, so it's right around the corner. Getting our own like official spot. So I'm so excited for that, and it's like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath is $1,400 here.
That's so ridiculous.
Absolutely,
that's so
fucking
ridiculous.
crazy.
And he just proposed. He just proposed.
I honestly,
congratulations.
yeah. Thank you on Saturday. So there's a lot of moves that I've made, and they're because I came here. So when my fiance is like, God, I would have stayed in Palo Alto, I was like, ugh, like I literally couldn't. That ring on your finger right there, I feel like that would have been a little harder to obtain.
Did you know she was gonna say yes? Like, did you know it was already in the bag?
Right. Well, luckily I asked her before I had the ring. So when the ring came and I did my official proposal this last Saturday, I already, we already had the label.
Oh,
so
how does that work? How do you pre-ask? How do you?
It was honest.
We talked about it on one of our episodes.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure that your fans have heard it, but I haven't heard it yet.
So no, it's a funny story.
Don't tell them.
So it was honestly, we were in front of the apartment we used to live in Palo Alto. It was like raining one night. We had the munchies, and we're sitting out in my truck, and I just looked at her. It was like 3 months after we became official, but we had been friends, transitioned to dating for maybe like 3.5 years, 3 years.
Damn.
We had been friends first. Yeah. So it was a long time that we used to tell people like, we're just friends, strictly friends. I'd never see her in that light. And then, it comes
in the back of your mind.
Exactly.
Like, oh, yeah.
You're just
You're
like,
just working the slow game.
Yeah. Am I lying to myself?
He was just gaming her.
Yeah.
But so we were just sitting in the truck. It was like 3 months after it became official. And we were like telling people we were dating each other. And then I just looked at her. It might've been the weed, but I totally was like, dude, I'm in love with you. Like, I think I always kind of have been, even as friends. I want to be with you forever. I didn't like say, will you marry me? But and she was like, I've always like loved you, kind of thing. One of those cliche
That's so
stories.
Sweet. Yeah. So
right?
You guys were just in complete denial, afraid to really take the plunge.
Yeah. So, and then from that day forward, I started like kind of inching into telling people that like, she is kind of like my fiance, I think now. Like we kind of just made a pact. And then I didn't have like the financial freedom until I got out here to like look into rings and do that whole thing. And then this last Saturday I popped the question and she was like just shocked, so it was a fun experience.
Really good at acting shocked.
Or that, I was like, God, those tears look so fucking real.
Yeah. She probably didn't remember that night. She was so high.
Right? Yeah, she just put up an Instagram story, and she kind of says it how I said it. She was like, "Yeah, I think we were in his truck and we were high, maybe. I don't know." Like, and he just said, well, "You know, do you want to be with me forever?" And
She's
I was
crying.
like,
Says,
"Yes."
"Oh my god, it wasn't a hallucination. It was real."
It's a side effect. It was an upper for sure. It was a sativa.
Do you feel nervous at all?
I was more nervous about the mechanics of like because I got a photographer. It's the only time I've ever hired a photographer. Not even for my own personal business have I hired one. And so I
That's
hired
what
one. And
that was.
yeah, and she was like, "You have to have her this way so she's facing the camera, and I need to see her face when you're doing." And I was like, "Okay." And we get
Couple
up.
takes.
Yeah, I get up there and like where, you know, she showed me pictures of where this drawn X was that where I'm supposed to be and where she's supposed to be. And I was like, fuck, she's on my left, not on my right. How's this gonna work? I was like, like I think she was like, oh, should we go up a little bit more? Because it was on this like lookout thing. And I was like, no, I think this is it. Like, I don't think there's anything up there. And she was like, what the fuck? And she was like, it was kind of getting weird. And I was like, all right, I just need to slip on her left and just get on a knee, like just do this thing. And so I did. I kind of like transitioned around her. I was like, oh look, and then I just dropped. I was like, I don't know if this is smooth or not. Thank God it wasn't a video. If I had you there, Mike, it might have looked weirder. But the photos caught it like it looked perfect. So
that's hilarious. That's a great story.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic story. That you have people, you can tell.
Right.
Did you look down
for the rest of your lives?
Yeah. I tried to look down. I was gonna like play it off as like shoelaces, but I realized I was wearing fucking boots. I was like, it's not gonna work. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, that photographer put a lot of pressure on you.
Oh yeah, she definitely did. But yeah, it was a fun experience. I mean, hopefully I only have one of them. I see her as being my one and only.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was exciting. It really was. But I wasn't as much nervous, like I said, as much as like just overthinking the little things,
I guess that's a good position to be in when you're going to propose to someone, right?
Right. Thank God I didn't have to
shouldn't propose if you're not sure of that. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I just know. I was talking to someone else and they were like, so like, were you afraid she was going to say no? And they didn't know the pre-story in the truck, because I don't tell everyone that. But I was like, oh yeah, that's a definitely a thing that like some guys go into it and they're unsure. Like, does she feel the same way? Does she want to slow down with me? Have I taken the hints and this is the right thing to do now? So that would scare the shit out of me. I'm glad that's a heavy toll or a heavy thing to bear, to think like this could be a no, like there are like those like, like fail videos out there where it's like the guy asks her to marry and she's like, oh no, like
I feel like those are fake though. I feel like those
right?
are set up, those fail videos.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, this is like a car crash. Like, holy shit. But
it's like movie worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You see that in movies.
Yeah,
that stuff.
It's a little too set up when it happens. What's interesting is I have this friend. She lives in Austin too, and she actually proposed to her boyfriend.
Oh wow!
This is the first time I've ever heard of.
Damn.
And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm so lucky. The girl of my dreams proposed to me."
Damn.
It was like a little role reversal.
It's the Bumble scenario.
Yeah,
was he hoping for it?
I don't know. I don't know her boyfriend, but I mean, just looking at the two of them, I would say she's definitely out of his league. So I mean, the guy's definitely lucky, because
That's awesome.
She's a beautiful girl. Obviously, my wife is more gorgeous. There's no one more beautiful than my wife, but I'm not a blind man,
Mm-hmm.
Girls don't stop looking good just because you're in a committed relationship. If anything, if I can give you a piece of advice here, Ariane, once you get married, other girls get 10 times more beautiful.
I know it is the case that there is a weird thing, and I talk about it with my brother, that for some odd reason, when they know that you're locked down, it's like either you didn't notice before or something happens where people are like, oh, you're taken? Wow. Do you want to be friends? Like, like it's just like this weird fucking thing that I feel like
I like to think it was always that case for me.
Yeah. Hey, when you're naturally beautiful like you, it just, you can't help it.
That's just my default response.
It's catnip.
Oh yeah, that's definitely how they have been feeling. I'm just so delusional. Miles, I hear that the cost of living in Hawaii is just ridiculous. Can you confirm that?
I can confirm that. I can. It is. It's like Palo Alto, Bay Area prices, city prices, and then houses are probably older and not well kept as much as you would think.
Give me a pro. Give
Sounds
me a
like a
pro.
fantastic decision.
The visual,
But
though.
it's a great place. We found a really new 2-bedroom place that's like really nice, and we're pretty much paying like similar to what we were paying earlier, a little bit
Okay.
more.
All right. You don't need to get into the details. That's okay.
But
It's
What
expensive,
sparked the move? Because I know Alyssa's family's from Hawaii, right? And I don't know if
yeah,
Alyssa's
yeah,
originally from Hawaii as well,
yeah.
right?
So her whole family lives here, so it's definitely. I think I would have never considered it or like a place that like you would go and you have no family. I think it's really nice that we have our family here and we can like support each other and stuff like that, and know that like we're like safe here. We don't have to worry about like, I don't know, the
COVID.
worst. Yeah, COVID, anything like that. We
Because I hear
have
Hawaii is
options.
really strict with COVID over there, right?
The numbers are not bad. There's actually more people coming and visiting. Um, but the numbers are actually been doing well the last couple of weeks.
How do you guys feel about COVID? Are you scared of getting it?
On the personal note, like both of us or Hawaii.
No, personal. How do you
Uh,
personally feel about it? Are you scared of it?
I wouldn't say I'm scared of it. I think I fall out of being aware of it sometimes, especially here. It's like, oh shit, I forgot my mask, or like, I just rubbed my face with my hand, and that's like not something you want to be doing. um,
Are masks
I
required in
sneezed in
Hawaii?
public.
like, goddamn.
Fuck.
How dare you sneeze?
uh,
Take him to jail.
they
That's like how it is here in California, right?
Yeah.
they are required. Where we're at is pretty like everyone wears their mask. There's nothing like a problem. Usually, when you're at the beach, no one wears a mask, which is interesting. But everyone's kind of keeps their distance.
But it's supposed to be like killed by daylight instantly,
Yeah,
Just like
right? So,
vampires.
yeah, exactly.
I think about it. I think more about the social implications versus like the actual virus.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are getting more like they're having a harder time with like the fact that we don't have this social side of our lives versus like them being scared of the virus. It's like I feel lonely. I feel like I can't, I don't have any friends or stuff like that.
You're
That
starting
kind
to
of
sound like an incel.
uh so I think if anything, there's the lack of like community can be really impactful for people, like just being able to talk to someone on a daily basis. Like you have to get on the phone, you have to like pull up the video to just like feel some connection.
So when you moved out there, you had to be tested, right, before you went to Hawaii.
Actually, me and Alyssa have not been tested yet.
What? How does that work? Because I know even if people are just visiting Hawaii, they require tests
Uh,
just to get on the plane.
we moved before that.
So
So
you
what we
haven't been
did,
tested at all.
no. I actually asked
Ah.
Alyssa that other day, would you want to get tested? And she's like, no, I don't want to get, if I don't have to get tested, I'm not going to get tested.
What's
I don't want to go
thinking
near
then?
them.
Is that you'll be more vulnerable at the testing center than anywhere
Right.
else.
Yeah.
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 Because I just got tested last Friday and it's just drive through. So there's
Okay.
none of that vulnerability. You're just in your car.
Mhm.
And honestly, like if I tested negative, but if it was positive, like I'm just not scared of it at all. I'm not in the age range
Mm-hmm.
where it's gonna get me. I exercise, I eat healthy, I take my vitamin supplements. I mean, honestly, I would just shake this thing off. I'm not really at risk at all,
Mm-hmm.
so I have no fear of it. That being said, I'll socially distance and wear my mask just to make others feel comfy.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I've just even right from the very beginning, I was never really scared of this. I guess what I'm trying to say is I have balls of steel.
Mm.
That's what I got.
Mm.
Well, how about you, Ariana?
That's how I heard it.
Yeah, that's all you heard. Oh, there you go. Are you scared? Are you scared of like COVID?
Like I said, I think in the beginning, I'm more scared of only in this scenario that I'm in right now, or the
Yeah, because you're
situation.
living with your dad who has diabetes, and
Yeah, that I'm one of those few that like is really close to someone, and I would hate like I can handle myself, and I've told this to my fiance 1,000 times. I can handle getting sick myself, like you said. Like, okay, I get sick. I mean, I've gotten sick before. I think I would shake it off. You know, knock on wood. Uh, but I would have a hard time handling getting someone else sick that was in a really serious condition, or if I, you know, for any like, you know, I just got my dad like really like, you know, in a tough place, and he had to go to the hospital for whatever reason because of his conditions. So I'm just constantly like weary of like, if I like, and that's, you know, back into the gym thing. Like if I were to go back into an atmosphere like that and I train people in person, because I can do that here in Texas. That's a thing, you know, like gyms are open. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it, am I risking like my family at this point? So, yeah, to answer your question, I guess in two ways. No, I'm not scared for myself. Yes, I am scared for people that I love, that I'm around.
yeah, but then that's understandable. You have a responsibility
Mm-hmm.
that's more than just yourself and your current living
Yeah.
situation, right? Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
So,
basically impervious to this whole COVID thing.
mm-hmm.
How
But,
would you?
what's up?
I mean, if you guys, you guys were the governors or the mayors, how would you have handled this? Because obviously here in California, I mean, everyone just hates, these whole lockdown things and closing down restaurants. Because quite honestly, there's no real science behind the way things have been handled, at least here in California,
Mm.
more so than anything. Because in terms of, I listen
Yep.
to a lot of Joe Rogan Experience, so disclaimer.
He's in Texas, Austin.
Yeah, it is. No, but you know what I like about Joe Rogan's podcast is he has a bunch of not just comedians, not just MMA fighters, but he
Mm-hmm.
gets like legit scientists
Yeah.
on there too, right? And I said that. So I mean, according to to all the facts and the evidence, outdoor dining doesn't really spread it at
Mm-hmm.
all. It's all indoor
Mm.
dining, but yet here they still close down all the restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Definitely
Mm.
gyms. They don't add to the
Yeah,
problem either, but there's a
yeah.
lot of, you know.
So there's just a lot of, I guess, it's sort of the word around draconian measures that have been put in place that are not really based on actual science or logic.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
would you guys have handled it? Let's say you're the governor of California or Texas or Hawaii. How
I,
do you tackle the problem?
I think, I mean, you said it with your answer. It's, you have to consider the science, you know? I think that's like I'm more of a scientific person anyways. Like I, I think you understand the science and then you make the best decision. And I think what they might be considering is like a breakout. Like I think they're afraid that they're just gonna like get worse all of a sudden because they changed like one thing, or
Mm-hmm.
they didn't they didn't have, or like if I make this decision, how many people is it going to affect? Even as small as something as like indoor is not allowed, or no restaurants not allowed, like how that can impact. Like they seem like they're a little bit more on the safer side. If I were to read that,
Mm-hmm.
I think if I were to actually understand it, I think I would just base my decision off of what feels right. So I don't know if I would go safer. I think I would be a little bit faster with the process,
Mm-hmm.
be able to take a little bit more risk, but not so much that it can affect larger numbers of people.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like if I were someone who was trying to instill, I don't know, guidelines or rules, I would just, you have personal freedom. Like if you don't want to go to this restaurant because it's open, don't go to the restaurant. Like
you're sounding like a real Texan already with his personal freedom.
right. And I'm one that, as you know, I choose not to go out and do these things or get a job in a gym because I have a risk at home. So just because I believe in that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and do this and go crazy. But yeah, I think it's really up to everyone else. No one's like coming into your house and if they open up society, someone's going to come in here and give me COVID. It's like, dude, you got to go out to get it. So shit. Yeah, I think it's just it's a big. I think it's a huge thing, especially being coaches. There is the amount of science or statistics that are out there now that are showing that gyms don't add to the problem. However, people in politics just constantly, especially in California, are just like, you know, and they make a bunch of memes about it. It's just, yeah, of course you're saying that with the nice home gym, with all your money supporting your little home gym in your basement. Like we depend on this. Coaches depend on maybe gyms for clients if they're working in a 24-hour scenario or something like that. And they can't transition to online. I'm really lucky, and so is Miles, to have clients that can do that, but not everyone is so lucky, or they're just not comfortable. I can't train people online. I don't want to do it. So that's what I feel for those people that are like, I depend on a gym to make a living, and now I can't do that because my governor is deciding that our gyms are too liable.
Do you guys believe that, because there is that line of thought where it is just all political, that because a lot of these places that have really been more strict with the close downs are run by Democratic governors, Democratic mayors, and they really just wanted to crash the economy as much as possible while Trump was still in office. And then once Biden won and gets in, everything starts getting reversed. Actually, here in California, it was just announced
Yeah.
by Governor Newsom that, oh, yeah, restaurants are going to open back up now all of a sudden.
Yeah, like
it's
15,
okay.
17% or something like that.
Yeah, do you believe that there was a political, politics behind these things?
To kind of, in the efforts to do what?
In the efforts to make sure that Biden gets in office. Because, if you're the Democrats, they want Trump out of the office so bad. If things are going well during a pandemic and Trump's in office, doesn't exactly help their case.
I see what you're saying.
And the funny thing is like I said, now all of a sudden that Biden is in office, I'm sounding like a real conspiracy theorist here.
I feel like I'm on Joe Rogan right now.
I know.
He's like, is there other fucking aliens or not?
No, there are aliens. I believe that aliens. No, but like it is interesting timing. Now all of a sudden, Governor Newsom, who's been against opening restaurants this whole time, and now all of a sudden he's okay with it.
Yeah,
he had a talk in the back room with Biden. That's what happened.
Yeah, no, I think
they're like, bro, you can't go to Napa like that anymore. Okay, people are taking photos.
It is. I mean, I wouldn't, like me. I do believe there are political motives behind it, because I wouldn't put it past political parties to do something like that. I don't really have too much faith in politicians in general, and seeing the way how the DNC screwed over Bernie twice. Now I don't know, it's getting really political.
Yeah, you're jumping right in.
Yeah. No, I just don't put anything past them, and that makes perfect sense. Yeah, what do you guys think? Are you going to jump on board this conspiracy train?
You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead,
Mr. Sanchez. I have a tough time. Like, I honestly try to stay as far away from politics and conspiracy as I can, just because, it's impossible when you're presented all these scenarios to go with any one of them. I think all of them, if you're in that perspective and you're reframing and reconditioning yourself to think that that could be the story, that could be the narrative, it sounds, it's like watching a movie. That I'm seeing it from this character's view. I totally get it. Like, I totally see it. So I think when I hear a bunch of things that make sense right there, it's hard not to think a certain way. Like, oh, that would make sense for people that really want a bad guy out of office. to do something like that if there's enough strategy involved in something like that and everyone's on board. But it also we could never actually know. I feel like, it's always going to be something that just is like, I wonder if that really did go down. I wonder if there is a story behind this. I wonder if there was an agenda. So it's hard for me to say. I can't officially, say that I know that this happened, but like you're saying, it sounds. I mean, it could make sense.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to bet money one way or the other, which way are you betting? Get off that fence. We're just talking hypothetically. I know I'm sounding like a total conspiracy nut, and as if I pay attention to this. I really, honestly, I don't pay attention to any of this
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
It's just, if I listen to Joe Rogan Experience, they talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
have a friend who owns a restaurant. So on her Instagram story, she put up that notice from Governor Newsom. Hey, restaurants are going to open back up.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all of a sudden. So I don't pay attention to politics at all. I don't watch
Mm-hmm.
the news. So I think news is just depressing, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
I had
And
never
since it's
played
all
it.
just ratings based,
Yep.
their motives are not pure.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I can agree on that for sure.
But
Yeah,
so if you had to bet money one way or another, what are you
Mhm.
betting on?
shit. I mean, I feel like because I'm in the industry that I am in, and the way that I always strive to think, my better self would say, hopefully people wouldn't do that to other people. So I'd bet against it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I'm always, I'm a skeptic in a lot of ways. So, but if you're making me choose, put my money on put my money on it.
And how about you, Miles? If you're gonna bet one way or the other, what is it?
I would probably do the same.
Oh, you guys are so positive. You make me sick.
It's okay.
You make me
but
sick with your positivity.
I think from a logical perspective, I feel like there's just so much variance to what's going on, and I think it could be perceived in many ways. And I think you would need to take that on as like a full-time job to actually make a difference in that effort in order to, like, I don't know, have your voice be heard. Because yeah, maybe I don't know every ins and outs, or it's not in my perspective that this is happening. So it would be like, it wouldn't make me feel safe to comment on it because I don't have all the information. And I think
That's
just
the
how
whole
my
fun of
brain
podcast, right? Is commenting on things when you don't have all the information.
yeah,
Very
Very
true.
when you're not.
and that's why we're doing it. We're
Yep.
practicing
Mm-hmm.
sharing our opinion.
Well, yeah, I'll
And
tell you why I bet the other way is because there were these two restaurant owners from LA that were on Joe Rogan's podcast.
I saw that one.
And you saw that one, so you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, where they're literally trying to communicate with the governor. Hey, let's work something else. Let's work out some like common sense rules based off of evidence, and no responses from the governor's office at all. And then the mayor of LA was even essentially doing a witch hunt against one of them because they were speaking out, where the health inspector was showing up every single night, even though they've already passed everything. It's like, hey, don't you have other restaurants, to inspect? It was like, sorry, direct orders. I need to go here every single night. So, and then they're governors. I can't remember the other states where they've been caught on camera where they didn't think it was recording, talking about you don't really need to wear masks, or this is just political theater and things like that. So to me, it's like, I don't know. I guess my faith in politicians is low to begin with. My motto in life is to build a life for yourself where it's just not affected by whoever's in office. Right? You want to get to the point where the whims of politicians don't affect you at all. Independently wealthy. But yeah, I guess I'm just skeptical about politicians in general.
Let's ride this out, because I think there's something.
Let's ride it out. There you go.
I think there's something that I want to ask you, but I do appreciate your wanting to talk about this, or feeling to talk about it. What do you think the future is going to be like for the restaurant industry? What do you think is going to happen now? If you all the information what's your kind of thing that you vision?
I think it's. I mean, those that are still around are going to get through it. But if something like they say, like 60 to 70% of businesses have already closed down because things have been closed for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So those that are still around are probably going to survive it.
Yeah.
People love eating out, even though it's just delivery. I mean, the profit margins are really low unless they, because I didn't know this. Apparently, like DoorDash, Grubhub, they take a big cut from restaurants. I'm like
I heard that.
30%.
Yeah.
So their profit margins they're probably just skating by or a little bit in the red still right now, even if they are busy just with DoorDash or Grubhub. I think restaurants are not gonna. In general, restaurants are gonna be okay in the long run. I think that's just a part of life. It's almost kind of a necessity. It's just kind of a given. People love restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
People love to eat out. Movie theaters, that I'm not sure about.
Fuck, dude. Don't mention movie theaters. It'll
Yeah,
make me depressed. I love
that
movies.
that I'm really not sure about. I don't know if I mean, do you guys think people ever get over the fact of being in an enclosed space again with a bunch of people?
That's a good one, actually.
I don't know if things go back to normal anymore in regards to something like that.
Yeah, right. Because it's still going to be a thing. I mean, I guess the vaccine kind of erases or makes you a little bit more easy with the fact that, like, hopefully my immune system, just like any other flu, will just like beat it out and just become this common thing, you know? But that is a good question. Like, does life, like, does it's a scarring experience, like what we went through for a year of just like, stay the, fuck away from me. Don't touch shit around me. Like, I remember like, like touching avocados to feel an avocado and just getting like, just like, you don't have to touch every fucking it's just like, like people change when they're threatened. We see that all the time in everyday life, in like road rage, cars, whatever. But this has made an imprint, and I think that it's going to be a hard thing to retrain how we go back out and talk to people, and how close do we get? Is a handshake going to be a thing that is going to be a part of our future? you know, a hug. So
Yeah, that's the weird thing is I was scouting a location for another one of my hanging with Mike shoots. I'm gonna shoot this woman in Santa Rosa. She's kind of become a local celebrity there. She's a chef, and I just tested negative. And she's totally cool with it. And I was saying goodbye to her, and like we were really cool. And I just noticed I just walked away. Then didn't shake a hand or anything, or didn't hug her like I
it's
normally
weird.
would. It felt disrespectful because it was like I just spent an hour and a half with her having a great time, and they just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Actually turned around and gave her a hug because it just like I couldn't turn that part off of me where nah, it just doesn't feel right. And I know I'm negative anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and going into that where I'm not really afraid of it. If I do get it, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
someone who's at risk living at home. So it's like I went back, for the hug.
Mm.
But I don't know. Do you guys think it ever gets back to normal?
I was thinking I was gonna say this, but
Yeah.
I think things aren't going to be the same, and I think it would be nice if people can start. Well, yeah, people would start to notice that. Like, at least in my opinion, I think it's that things need to change, even from like the systems that are in place. So like things like the restaurant thing doesn't happen again. It's like there's something that has never happened in our lifetime happening, and people are getting the short ends of the sticks. I think if we can future proof ourselves in the future where like things like this don't, I don't know, you're not going to be perfect, but things like this where everyone can be heard and get what they need on a basic level and be able to sustain it, because there's people that haven't been paid for a year,
Mm-hmm.
are still unemployed. There's people
Yeah.
that have like anxiety leaving the house, like panic attacks. Like those things are actually like everyone's going through this like trauma right now. This community trauma. Everyone's experiencing COVID in some type of way. So I think it's like, how can we create a new way as we go, as like nudging us in a way of making effective change from the top, I feel like.
Did you guys watch Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Yeah, that's a good conversation.
No, because I mean, I've never. Obviously, I share my memes on Instagram and everything of that, but other than I would say YouTube is the only one that I really consume. I like watching basketball highlights, and I'm a
Same.
basketball guy, and podcasts on there. But like Facebook, I don't really interact on it at all. But after watching Social Dilemma, it's like, ooh, Facebook's a problem. Yeah, that's I like when they said it's imagine it's if it's like you go on Wikipedia to look up a word, and then depending on where you're at or where you're from, what your beliefs are, it brings up a different definition. That's a problem. That's bad. So that's why, like, I don't know if things get back to normal because kind of the genie's out of the ball thing, right? Because a lot of what drives the mania is misinformation.
Yeah. I mean, we
Right?
see that a lot during COVID. I feel like a lot of misinformation, people just creating information,
Yeah, right.
So
So I don't
definitely.
know if it ever you you, you can't take that back anymore.
Yeah.
It's like I'm starting to sound like a real pessimist.
I
I'm
have
generally a really
a question.
easygoing guy, I'm generally really positive. I don't like negativity, but I do believe in seeing things for how they are, not how I want them to be.
So with that being said,
Mm-hmm.
so you notice the dilemma that we have with society,
Uh-huh.
with like the technology and stuff. What makes you show up and then create content for people to take that in? Like, what do you ever feel like you're doing something wrong, or you're you're saying information that's not true? Do you feel like your content is like valuable in that sense where you don't have that?
Yeah, I don't think because we do a weekly vlog. It definitely we don't really put out any information there other than hey, here's what our goals were this week and how we did, and then you see a slice of life of what we're up to during the week. So we don't really fall under that category. Maybe as I do more of the Hanging with Mike podcasts, it might. But I would have to grow really big, and it would be fantastic if I did in order to have like that kind of responsibility. Because I talk shit unapologetically, and yeah, I don't know everything, but you know, so what? I just it's obvious I'm talking shit, and even if I don't know everything. I'm not an expert. I'll say I'm not an expert. I don't know everything, but I'll continue to talk shit, under that pretext. And if you take it seriously, well, that's really kind of on you then. I guess life is too short for haters, to be perfectly honest. You really just got to do your thing. And, it's all about your 1,000 true followers, right? You guys know that concept?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's really what it's all about. And, I'll
You can
just
share it. You can explain it.
Well, yeah, I think it was Kevin Kelly, right? Was the one who wrote it. It was an article that for creatives, especially, you don't really need, a million fans in order to make a living. We're not talking about, being filthy rich. We're just talking about being comfy or being
Mhm.
successful. All you really need is 1,000 true fans who are basically, they love your stuff so much. They love you so much that they're essentially, your disciples. They'll buy everything you put out. They'll spread the word for you, things like that. And so for me, my only concern is really getting to that 1,000 true fans. And the only way I'm going to get those true fans is by being myself and not trying to put something out that's not me. Right. That was the problem with my whole Red Sea visuals thing is I was doing this, content marketing thing based on all this research, not based on who I was. Right. So yeah, to me, I guess haters just don't affect me. There's never been, and I used to be like a professional stage actor too. So like criticism just never really affected me. That's never been my mindset. I know
Yeah.
some people are really sensitive to it, but those people are pussies. So
I mean, the nature of a hater is what someone who's already is going to be naturally unchanged or opposing your perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You
it's
can't
like,
do
why?
anything to change their minds.
Yeah, why try?
Why try?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, right? I mean, that's probably why Trump just stuck to his base, right? He's never going to win the other side, which is what made Bill Clinton interesting. Is his belief was, no, you can get 100% of the people, and that's how he tried.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 100% of the girls too, whether they look good or not. So
Ruthless.
yeah. Oh, what can I say? But yeah, I know this. Do haters bother you guys at all? I don't know how much, I mean, it affects you. I don't know how like active you guys are like online in terms of putting content out, things like that. But does that affect you guys? Would it
Yeah.
hurt your feelings for someone to be hating on you, commenting on your podcast? These guys, they fucking suck.
Oh, God,
boring.
Well, to be completely honest, to be on the other side of that, like I think I've dealt with like bullying as a child, so I'm a little bit more accepted. Like it's in my rear view, it's in my head that I might be getting picked on, or like maybe I'm a little sensitive, and that's just kind of like getting to know that more as I get older. But on the flip side, I'm trying to create pathways where I can show up like myself and be myself. And I think like this podcast has been something that has helped me be a little bit more accepting, or like putting myself out there in a different way. And then also I started doing streaming, so gaming and stuff like that. I don't know if you're doing it. You mentioned OBS earlier. But
so OBS I just use to capture like things like this because of not to hijack your thoughts here real quick, but then because of COVID, doing these hanging with Mike podcasts where I shoot an intro and everything, it's kind of difficult to find people who are willing, right? Because then there's people are scared. So like Zoom is kind of just something that I have to explore, and I started exploring. Okay, how can I actually get better production value from Zoom? And that's where I went down the whole OBS route. But anyway,
yeah,
continue speaking.
What was I saying?
You're talking about how
Twitch.
That's
So yeah, like Twitch. I think it's like it's a gaming community. It's kind of like that online community. I feel like I'm a gamer at heart. Like I feel like that's something that gamers are doing. Maybe I could meet other gamers. And it seems like it could be fun, like just having the process and stuff like that. And creating an audience, I think, is it becomes more appealing. Like the stories that you just shared with 1,000. Like if I were to just like get the people that actually like me, there's people that aren't going to like me, but if I put myself out there and there's an opportunity for one person to like appreciate what I'm doing, and there might be like 10 other people that are like, this guy's an idiot, like what is he doing? And then being okay with that it's not easy for everyone, but I think once you build that skin, that confidence, that perspective, it's like you're actually doing like something that's super super authentic, because you have to be yourself. The amount of time that you have to create something and like and make it, like it has to come from somewhere that is you. And so I think just practicing, this, working on content in certain ways, it's getting me closer to who I really want to be. And then just kind of constantly just working that in, trying to knead it in, trying to be like, yeah, that's really what I want. So that's kind of what I'm doing on the internet. I still have the clients that I'm working with closely, but yeah, it's just, just trying to come through authentic to myself, because I think what you were saying earlier, it's like, it's our opportunity to like live our best experience through life, kind of thing. is how close can we get to like what we actually really want and need.
Have you started streaming? Because I remember you were going to do it, but has it started already?
Yeah, so I'm like playing around with it. I don't have a schedule right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of just like jumping on, but I think that's like the next building block is like getting a little bit more just like getting some time so people can expect when I'm on, so they can come and watch.
What games are you playing? What are you going to be streaming?
I'm a first person shooter guy.
Okay.
So I
So you're
like
like
that
99%
stuff.
of the gaming world, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm open to like playing other games. Like I think it's actually enjoyable to like explore different things.
What
But
first-person shooter are you playing?
Apex.
Apex Legends. I think I have to get into first-person shooters. I need to see my character.
Yeah, what's your game?
Let's see. I'm actually just replaying Arkham Knight right now. I just got the big bundle on Steam where it includes all the DLC, and I'm a Batman fanatic. On my Avengers poster doesn't really show up there, but if I were to turn around, you'd see Batman. I'm the kind of person that I don't really tend to play new games too much. I like to wait about a
Yeah.
year for the Game of the Year versions to come out. And then, when I play a game and I really enjoy it, I tend to play it again and again and again, which is something I'm trying to get out of actually. I'm trying because uh, something that Joe, the one who was on my last Hangout with my podcast, I mentioned it there. He's just so disciplined about once he plays one game, he moves on to the next. Once he reads one book, he moves on to the next because he wants to experience a lot of different things, and that feeds his creativity. So I'm trying to instill a little bit of that in my life because I am the kind of guy that once I like something, like especially at a restaurant, once I find that one order that I really enjoy, I'm gonna be ordering that thing every single time. But I'm trying to grow out of that a little bit too. And then that's something the whole taco tours thing with my buddy Sam kind of opened my eyes to that too. Is if not for the taco tours video series, I never would have tried out so many tacos at so many different places. I would have found the one that I like that's close by my place, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of that, I discovered so many great tacos all over the place, and I was like, oh, you know what, maybe I should do that with the rest of my life. Except when it comes
Variety.
to relationships, I'm committed.
That's
no
the one
variety
taco you
with
go
the
back
women.
to.
A variety is the spice of life. No, I have my fun time with that too. But yeah,
We might have to save that one for another episode.
No, I'm not. That's gonna be on the OnlyFans page or there. You guys want
Private access.
Hit the subscribe for that one.
So we were supposed to talk, Miles, about because we're gonna get you on Hanging with Mike, right? And the challenge here is, okay, how do we get a cinematic video intro for someone who's in Hawaii?
Yeah.
And I'm over here. That's the challenge right there. Right. So would you say you're most what defines you these days then? Would it be the video games and the Twitch thing? That's really where you're heading?
Ooh, good question. I don't think it's like I'm switching over and I'm gonna become less like full-time content creator type thing. I think I still like one-on-one work. But the reason why I'm starting the stream is because I've noticed that like there's this stigma with like gamers and their health and taking care of themselves, and like the mental health kind of hurdles that we all kind of experience. I mean, you were just talking about one of them, like just the fact that like you're playing one game and you're like, I don't really want to continue to play this game, but like I'm going to keep on doing it, and like trying to break that like that mental connection and have more variety. I think those are cool things to like help people with, because it could be anything. Anything could change that. But what was I saying before that? Lost my train
Well,
of
I was
thought.
just asking because the way the intros work for hanging with Mike is I generally try to capture whatever it is that defines that person or whatever it is
Like
they're passionate about, right?
mm-hmm.
So the challenge would be here is, okay, he's in Hawaii, I'm over here in the Bay Area. Well, how the hell do I do an intro for you?
Let's do a cartoon.
Yeah, that's an idea. I mean, yeah, throw out those ideas, guys. I mean, let's consider this a brainstorm. Actually,
We
Ariane,
can.
I'm gonna get you on it too.
Would you do
We're
both of
buds
us
at
at the
this
same
point.
time?
It
Or
depends. I mean, I'd kind of want to do a one-on-one, and then later down the road, could do another thing where both of you are on the same. But yeah, animation's it's a good way to go. I'm not an animator though, so that's the problem is to getting. Unless you're good at drawing, are you good at drawing?
no, I was thinking more like fiber type thing, but that's gonna
Uh,
cost money. But
it's an interesting way to go. Maybe I can rope my wife into getting
maybe there's
involved in
someone
drawing.
out there
Probably not.
listening. Maybe
Trying to
there's
avoid a
someone
fight.
listening.
Yeah.
I know. It's like I mean, it would be the same for you, Ariane, right? If I would do one with you, you're out in Texas. How do we
Mm-hmm.
make a cinematic intro for you?
Yeah, that's hard. Shoot, I can't even begin to think about it. I feel like it's just yeah. I mean,
That's very
it's
ambitious, I would say.
But the thing is, if I could figure this out, it basically opens up anyone to be a guest.
mm-hmm.
On hanging
Mm-hmm.
the mic at this time, then right? That really feeds me too. But
Yeah.
it's a tough riddle to solve.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be easy if I wasn't doing the whole cinematic intro thing, but that's kind of the whole point of me doing hanging with Mike is
Yeah.
that's my take: cinematic intro and a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if it presents a challenge and you kind of love like a puzzle like that, it could unlock some things like you said. It kind of once you get over that hurdle once, you know how to do it again.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to not let hurdles like that stop me.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to use it as excuse, especially because it's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always where there's a will, there's a way. It might not be exactly how you want it, but what's more important is just to keep making that content and keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It doesn't have to be perfect right out of the gate. It's something that I really I've kind of learned the hard way over the years because I'm a bit of a perfectionist with my videos,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so oftentimes that would stop me from seizing certain opportunities because I just feel like, oh, you know what, there's just not enough time to do it in the way that I would be happy with it,
Mm-hmm.
or there some sort of barriers that will prevent me from doing it the way I'd be happy with it. And each time it was probably a mistake to pass it up because you just think of the growth that would have come from just doing it, right? Not just
Mm-hmm.
growth in terms of personal growth of skill set, but growth in terms of your audience too. Is you just got to keep making stuff and putting it out there
Mm-hmm.
and keep moving forward. So it's really more
What?
because of that I want to try to figure something out because you can't stop the train. You got to keep going because the only way your true followers are going to find you is you have to be consistently present out
Mm-hmm.
there for them to find you. If you're not consistent, it just becomes too hard to find you online.
Mm-hmm.
Have you met any of your followers and like have, I don't know, kind of this like relationship at all?
No, I don't think like the YouTube channel has grown enough to that point. I think we're only at 73 subscribers, which actually I'm very proud of that
Mm.
number because that's 73 subscribers. It's just all organic growth. I didn't slide into people's DMs begging them, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, things like that. I was just little by little every week. It's continually growing. So, I'm very proud of that. It means, we're on to something. It's heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just, how do we speed up that
Mm-hmm.
growth is the question. But uh, I don't know. I guess it grows at whatever speed that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really expect too much, but you shouldn't let that stop you from trying to improve on it.
What's your top video? Like what's something that they really gravitated towards?
It's probably the second Hanging with Mike podcast, is because I created a really special intro for that one. It was the one where I was talking with my younger cousin about turning 40. So for the intro, we did kind of like this cheesy sitcom style
Mm,
intro, like inspired by Full House, right?
mm,
And then to shoot that one, I brought on a few collaborators too. So, they were excited about it. So, of course, they shared it as well. And it turned out really well. It was really fun. So, that's probably the one that's hit the most in terms of the podcast, in terms of the weekly vlog. That one's a little bit more interesting because if you think about it, essentially the content's almost the same every week, at least the format, right? Here's our goals for the week. Here's our slice of life during the week. Here's what we did. And then here's a wrap up of the goals and how it went. But yet the views for that thing, man, it's like a roller coaster. It's just no real
mm,
consistency. The most popular one so far, that one was, I believe, the one where the thumbnail and the title was "My Wife's Secrets for Not Taking Showers" or something. That's something ridiculous like that. And yeah, that really can't really figure out what's going on with the views there. But when I did my research in terms of growing, your YouTube following, all the successful YouTubers, what they all say is don't even pay attention to the views. And you just got to keep doing your thing, consistently show up. Don't just be consistent with how often you put out content, but be consistent with the type of content you're putting out so that people know what to expect, right? So that way they can actually become a real fan of yours, something that they're going to turn to you, and don't even worry about the views. So I really, as much as possible, I try not to look at the views,
mm,
especially at this point, because it can be depressing when the numbers are so low. But people like, I don't know if you guys follow Gary Vaynerchuk
Mm-hmm.
at all, but he talks about it all the time. He was putting out this in like 30-minute YouTube series about wine for 18 months where no one was watching. And look where he is now, right? You just can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
You got to keep going because even if you don't, I mean, you might not even end up continuing to do exactly what it is you're doing now, but because you didn't stop, you found something else, right? It'll
mm,
evolve.
mm,
But the only way to keep going forward is to actually do it.
mm,
I'm a big believer in action over theory,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
action over philosophy. Just like Nike, I guess Nike's branding really imprinted on my in my brain. Like, just do
So, are
it.
you wearing Nikes right now?
No, I'm not.
Toyota, Nike.
I know,
What's
yeah.
going on here?
And that would be great if I was sponsored. But and I've always kind of believed that the best way to learn is by doing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I put much more stock into action than into words.
Yeah. I think what we've been talking about is like hitting that on the head of like this idea of not letting the external world, like the views, kind of affect like what you're actually putting out there. Like it's so it it's so you, it's not anything outside that's kind of influencing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like we talked about, and the people who dig it will flock to you either way, and the people who don't dig it, you're never going to get them to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm,
you don't want to do what it takes to get them because it's not going to be you, and it's going to feel like a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
right? Actually, you
Yeah.
never answered that, Ariane. I mean, do you get affected by haters at all, or criticisms?
I have never experienced a hater in the generic sense, I guess, that
Hmm.
we're talking about it, because
How about just criticism in general, though? Like,
yeah,
someone says something negative
definitely.
about you.
I yeah, it's I guess it's affected me in some ways. It affected me enough to think about it. I mean, that's like, I guess, like one thing, I feel like I've heard from like even someone like Joe Rogan, who has, you know, all of these followers. It's like almost crazy. He's like, dudes, I still put shit out and drop my phone on its face and just don't look at it because I just don't want to, because if you can, anybody that has feelings, that is human or has emotions, it's like someone's saying this bad thing about me, they're targeting me and saying, and if you don't know where it's coming from, if you don't know that in reality, the way that you should frame it is that maybe they're unhappy and they're, furthering that, then you can totally think like, am I the fucking problem? You know, is it something do I really suck? I must suck, you know, like, so it is, yeah, I've definitely thought things like that. But more recently, I feel like kind of aligning with, I guess, what you said a little bit and what Miles has said is that you get to know yourself a little bit more. And then you realize that, like, when you're putting yourself out there, it's almost like, well, this is what I would be doing if no one was watching me. So if you don't like it, I mean, you know, the door is right over there. So, you know, it's just like, I'm not making you be here. You click something and click something else and got to me, and you're watching this, and that's your opinion. So yeah, I would say that, you know, I go through a thought process, but in the end, I always come back to the same answer, which is like, I'm doing what I want to do, and it's good enough for me.
I like the door quote. I'm gonna write that down.
Well, it's a good thing you guys are recording it then.
Mm-hmm.
How much rejection have you guys experienced in your life? Because to me, it's connected. Because I experienced a lot, and that's what made me the thick skin.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Is it how much rejection have you experienced in your life?
A lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar.
So that must be really tough for you then, Ross, because as you were saying earlier, you're fairly sensitive, right? And going through a lot of rejection. Ooh, that must have really hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, I mean, just being able to like talk about and be vulnerable has been a better place for me. But like my childhood, I think I was pretty abused.
Oh, yeah, you were bullied, you said, right?
Bullied. I mean, yeah. So I think now knowing as I'm getting older, like a lot of the things that I feel in reality could be transcending from like what happened before. So I just kind of been practicing to just kind of cutting away from that and letting that live over there, in that child that was hurt and stuff like that, but still honor the fact of like who I am today. Like, I know that I've been through a lot. I probably haven't shared half the stories to either on the podcast, or I think I have a lot to share. But it's kind of like, how vulnerable can I be? And that's something that I feel like I'm getting better at.
Well, I know you said you kind of just want to leave that over there in your childhood, but let's bring it up. What were you? I'm just curious. What were you bullied about? Why were you bullied?
It first started when I was younger, like elementary, and I think it really started with kind of like how smart I was, or like I was a little bit slower. I was Cuban and Puerto Rican. My first actual language that I learned was Spanish, but it never stuck because I had to learn how to speak English. And so like even like things like reading or writing or like having this social interaction with someone, I was probably awkward. I was probably really self-conscious about my body and the way I looked.
Oh, even at a young age, huh?
Yeah. Like getting made fun of, and like, you know, in where these kids are like, you think about it now, it's like a 10-year-old. I look at a 10-year-old and today, and I'm like, oh man, like, I wonder what they're doing at school. You know what I mean? They look so innocent. But I think, yeah, so early on it was like, can I actually like, had a lot of special ed classes that and I got pulled out from that. I was quiet. Yeah.
Like a perfect storm of circumstances, it sounds like, for being bullied.
Yeah.
You
and
went
then
through a gauntlet.
I mean, if you've done the work, and you understand these types of like deep trauma stuff, yeah, it's pretty trauma. It has a big impact on you. And I think something that I've starting to like appreciate more is like everyone has their story on like a different level. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows they're different, but if you really get to know someone, like everyone's been through some shit. It doesn't make me a better person or a different person. It's just can you bring it up? Can you hold a space for it? Can you put it away? That trauma, can you not let it affect you now? And it's not easy. And
that's the second time you've said that, saying hold a space for you. You're talking about holding a space for clients. What does that mean exactly? Is that a brain centered coaching, like?
I've been using that word a lot. I think it's a perfect example of what helps someone grow. Is it's not you're pulling at them, you're not squishing them, you're not making them small, you're not making them big. You're like taking them for who they are right now and being able to like hold space for that person, not get too close, not get too far away, let them be at the center of their space, and guide them, support them. I mean, once you start building more trust, you have conversations, you let them kind of take the steps in the right direction, in whatever direction they feel. And I feel like I never did that for myself. I never felt like I had the space because of maybe my mother, my dad. I was always never being heard or felt, and I was making myself smaller. So like if I go through life making myself feel small all the time, that can influence other areas of my life, like my work. Like I can't be small and not have an opinion or share my thoughts, or in a relationship. Like I can't come to a relationship and be this small thing. So it's kind of like noticing that maybe I need to create a better environment and space for the individual, and then being able to still like help people. And instead of like, I tend to like take people's pain, and I think I'm really good at it. So like I will fix any problem that you have because I know how to do it, but I don't want to be the person that people just come to me and be like, fix me, and then it doesn't really do anything. It might fix them like maybe right then, but it's not like the actual work that people should be trying to gravitate towards. It's like, how can I create yourself to be very self-reliant on like your health, your wellness? Because I'm not getting closer to them. I'm just holding a space for them. Like it has nothing to do with me. It's all about them.
That's interesting. Arian, when he said that, did you understand right away what he was talking about? Hold the space for people.
We've had conversations about holding space and how we define something like that, and even outside of the podcast, like we do. We're obviously connected, so we pass off thoughts and influences and stuff like that, and so that's a term that I've heard and I've read about, and I try to embody in some way, shape, or form when I'm thinking about my relationship or coaching. More of my experience now is less about like getting them to move, because I know how to do that, and I've been doing it for so long, but really how to like, they're a person, so they come to my session with their humanity, and it's like, how can I navigate that too? So holding space is something that I've been a little bit more aware of recently. But if I wasn't maybe in this space, I probably wouldn't have known really what that meant.
I can only imagine, like, if I was, say, a new client of yours, I think I would be thrown for, I would be really confused working with you guys because you guys wouldn't be what I would expect, from a typical trainer, right? Do you guys, and I was kind of turning to my podcast. I'm asking the question to you guys.
It's all good. It's a two-way
But
highway.
do you guys experience resistance because of that? Because you have such a different take on it, or people don't expect? Because people expect is, okay, here's your program. Come on, push it. Another rep. Come
on. I think it's back to the point of, where you're getting your information from. It's like, we have society telling us how we should do things and what the things that we actually need. They come to us and they think, I need weight loss, and it might be something totally different. Maybe that's just like an output of how they feel. But it's not really addressing kind of deeper things. So if someone comes to me, I think I'm honest with them. I think, I think my price, my rate it kind of weeds people out, but yeah, it's you get different inquiries, and there's people that can do those things for people. It's just, maybe I'm not that guy, the door's right there. Like, maybe this isn't the type of work you need, and you kind of, you have to be okay with that. There's people that don't have this conversation, like, what does my feelings have to do with how I move my knee? Or like, why do my eyes have to do with my movement? Or how your I can get really scientific here, but like how your threat is impacting your stress, and that's probably why you're not sleeping, and that's why you feel bad you're not going to the gym today, because your body's trying to tell you one thing and your expectations are telling you another thing. How do I navigate that? Like, do I just continue to just show up at the gym and beat myself up and hope that I get to where I want to be, but I don't really know where I really want to be? Like, those are the things that people go through in the moment of like trying to help themselves. Like, there's a lot that you can learn, and coaching and holding space is like, it propels that time. It's again, has to do with time. Like, are you willing to put in the time and be consistent on attending to yourself? Do you need support? Get some support. Like, it's that, I feel like that's what we do. We support the person that is trying to kind of figure things out, because a lot of time people don't know what they want when they come see me. It's just kind of a stab in the dark. What do you think, Ariane?
I'd have to agree. I mean, I came into this realm of things later than Miles had. He really introduced me to neurology and the bigger picture, or that's what I call it now. Because I feel like most coaches are just very, like, they're hyper focused and they're zoomed in on a very narrow part of humanity, and like focusing on, like, it's almost like a magician. Like, you're focusing on like this thing over here because there's a lot of movement and it's very eye catching, but it's like, what is back here that's actually happening? So that's how I view neurology, and what we do, which is like, I'm not gonna be drawn towards the eye catching element. I'm gonna look at, like, what's actually, like, what are the strings that are being pulled back here. Um, and most people, when they come to us, like he said, don't even realize that there are strings. They're just like, no, I think it's just all this stuff I need to figure out. Like, can you teach me to, like, do this again? And it really just is back here behind them where they can't see it. It's out of their view. So I think it's approaching them, saying that there is a spectrum, and and then they take it for what it is. If depending on the person, if they have a narrow focus, then they're going to be like, you know what, this is like, it's a little too much for me. I think I do want that coach is just going to tell me to get another rep in. So that's up to them. I don't push, and I think the right coach doesn't like corner someone into like training with them or doing something with them.
Both are needed. Yeah. Both are needed.
Definitely.
Have you noticed that, like I mentioned earlier, when I was a trainer, for some reason, I did really well with one. We were like 30 to 30, probably like 38. Have you noticed certain trends for you guys? Like all your clients tend to fit in this demographic?
I think mine are just like super overwhelmed, worked hard, like exec type kind of stuff, where it's like their plate is like full and they have like 6 plates. It's like
that's a good niche to have, execs.
I mean, I'm lucky. I mean, I'm glad that I got to meet the right people, but I just feel like it's pretty intense, and it's like trying to bring the human back into their lives, because I think that's what they lose, is because they get sucked into a lot of different things, and then they're left feeling unhappy, or like, that purpose and that, that drive and all that stuff. And then along the way, they lose a sense of their body. They might be in pain. They might be not sleeping well. They might be, dealing with a lot of, outside stress. And I really take that time, that hour that I have with them, and really try to help and like get them to a better place wherever they start, So not one session is going to be the same. It's more of like, let's attend to the person that actually walked through the door today. And let's see.
Which in your case just happens to be a CEO.
Yeah, just a CEO.
Yeah. Not to brag, right?
But I mean, I've worked with a lot of kids in the past. I think I would enjoy that. I also looking for other outlets with some of my time. So yeah, I think with the whole gaming thing I was talking about, it would be nice to like share the stuff that I've been through and the knowledge of like movement and how we can connect to our bodies better and our brains, and share that with people that stare at screens for hours playing video games.
So how do you do that through gaming?
I've been thinking about it. I think there's this concept of like breaks that, I mean, it's nothing fancy or new. Like everyone knows what a break is. But how can we incorporate that really in our day-to-day life if like our future looks like it's going to be sitting in front of a computer, for society I think in the next 10 years, 20 years, like I think some of the things that people are starting to notice about this type of work is that it's really hard on our nervous system. And I know a lot about the nervous system because the amount of different types of light that are hitting your eyeball when you stare at a screen, like that affects our brain, and it could cause tightness. It could cause pain. It could, you can have struggle sleeping. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg, because like we breathe too when we're sitting in front of a computer. Like our breathing patterns might be different. We might be hyperventilating a lot of the time. I always watch gamers like play, and they're always like like just like mouth breathing the whole time because they're getting shot at or something. Mm-hmm. Like you're like training yourself to be like this like fight or flight monster that like lives your life outside of the video game, because you're spending so much time like teaching your nervous system to like be in the game. And you take those same skills from the game and apply them to your life, and maybe those things don't really match well, so you get like all this kickback. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me, but how do you, because my idea of, like, as far as I understand how Twitch works, is you're literally streaming yourself playing video games, right?
Yeah.
How is that communicated while you're playing Apex Legends?
I don't think it's less to do with I would consider myself the content, not the game.
Like, so you're talking while you're playing.
Yeah, I'm hanging out, hopefully I can build an audience that like wants to talk about breathing or like
okay. I get it.
Yeah.
And
because I don't consume Twitch at all. I was like, what is that generally what people subscribe to? They're not really there to watch the game, but they're there for the person.
I think a little bit of both.
I think it depends on what you're trying to showcase. Are you showcasing like your skills at playing this game? Then you're probably going to get people that want to get better at the game, and they watch this guy that's really good at the game. I don't think that would be my audience. I think I'm really good though. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, let's set the record straight here. Right?
I love that.
Garbage either.
That's not where I'm aiming.
Okay, so I didn't know that about Twitch, because like I said, I don't consume it at all. I just assume people are there just to watch games, but
yeah, and then hopefully this is like my little baby. Like, it's just like something I want to stay consistent with and like have some action with. But it would be cool to think that like, oh, I can have like a group of people that join my stream, and I can do like a breathing class before my game.
That'd be kind of like really. I mean,
interact.
I just have like a funny take on it right away. You kind of can be like the Zen gamer, and as you see, I just shoot this guy in the head and just breathe calmly, move on to this part of the map.
Boom, headshot.
I see the enemy. Yeah, it's kind of like NPR.
I wouldn't do it at the same time.
Like, welcome to fresh air.
It's like I get all the rage gamers because they're so upset with their play.
This is my fucking address. Meet me here. You're like, dude, just breathe. Just relax. Yeah. Come into my channel. Actually, come into my channel. You're the perfect target.
So, Adrian, it sounds like you consume Twitch as well.
Recently, I started playing a game that I played in my childhood again for maybe the third like cycle throughout my life. And it was only then, I mean, Twitch wasn't around when I first started playing this game in like 2006.
What's the game?
World of Warcraft.
Wow, that's still around. That's amazing.
Wow, I know. They brought back WoW Classic, so all the vanilla players or the old school players came back to play the classic version of the game. And like you, so that's why I identified kind of with you and aligned with you, where you come back to maybe this old game you used to play because you like it so much. It's like nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
So I became more aware of Twitch just recently because it's like it's like ingrained in a lot of these gaming communities. It's like people talk about it, like, oh, you don't know about this on Twitch, and I'm like, the fuck is Twitch? So you just start to Google things and you figure things out. And yeah, so I'm happy for him because honestly, like I said, I'm not like I don't consume too much of Twitch, but I definitely would now, knowing that like someone like Miles is in the space. It changes things up, and I think even as like a coach, like we see people, we see shitty movers, let's say, if you want to call them that, all day. People that don't move very well. And so coaches also need to see people that move well. And I think the gamers are the same thing. They need to see someone maybe like Miles that breathes better, So they're like, wow, I'm like, maybe it's something subconscious or unconscious that they're seeing, that they're like, there's something different about Miles as a gamer that I'm like watching now. And then you start to maybe you pick up some things. It could be him not teaching it necessarily, but they're just like, oh, he plays games differently than I've seen.
Yeah,
so I like
highlight reel of Miles breathing.
Right. You're like, let's check out Miles's breathing right now. Let's hear it. Make it audible.
It could be the Zen gamer. That should be.
This is only
right there.
This is only the beginning.
No, that's amazing. Like I said, I didn't know anything about Twitch, so I'm actually learning quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I mean, you probably can resonate with this. Doing my research, they talk about how Twitch is not really discoverable for most people. So it's really important to just use like Twitch as like a kind of a landing spot for people. if they want more content versus like that's like your main source.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about you know, I have made the YouTube channel and all that, but trying to create content that they can watch that's specific for gamers, like, oh, my back hurts, do this exercise, and then, you know, or something like that, where me, a gamer, could understand what maybe they're going through and be able to give them some help that they can like watch over and over again if they wanted, versus like going for like the oversaturated health and fitness arena where it's like, here's your health for your healthy fitness goer type person. Like there's actually other people that aren't aware of what's out there because they're in this community that is, hopefully I don't bother anyone. Like hopefully I don't bother people like, hey, like this is actually important. But I think being a gamer, I know how unhealthy it can be on you. And so maybe there's some like real value in trying to make gaming more healthier for yourself and the people around you, especially because of what I forecast life would be like in the future. You know, like people are gonna.
That's so interesting that you say that you have that thought that occurred to you that hopefully you don't bother anyone. Why would that thought occur to you at all? That's interesting.
Because we know
that kind of thought would never occur to me.
I think knowing a lot of people in the gaming community, and like I think it comes down to the bullying thing, childhood stuff. But in short, I think you just see it happen a lot. Like there's a lot of toxic people out there that are gamers. Like you know when someone's toxic and you're playing a game with them, it's like, whoa, like this guy's you know what I mean? And there's people out there that you know, the truth is you're not gonna please. And maybe that's something I'm trying to hop over right now, is that piece.
Let's see, I mind you, I'm not into like multiplayer gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do Twitch, so maybe it's just my ignorance that
Mm-hmm.
prevents me from having such a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole thing with gaming is why I don't play multiplayer games is because before, you know, when I was working 9 to 5, when I was miserable working at that video game company, that's my escape, is the video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's just for me, and I don't want to have other people affecting that experience.
Mm.
I wanted to just be for me, right? So, but then maybe that's why it's easy for me to dismiss. Like, I would never have that thought of like, I hope it doesn't bother anyone. I'd be just like, fuck them. If it bothers them, who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing my thing. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just me being ignorant, since I don't partake in multiplayer gaming. I don't Twitch. So I've never run across toxic gamers at all. So maybe it's easier said than done to just say fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a place. I mean, I think, yeah, it could be like maybe you're not really aware of what's happening, but hearing it from other people that it does take a toll on you if you're like a creator, where like you're creating things and people are always like, you know, having a comment to say, or like trying to like rub you the wrong way. It really kind of we're still human. Like kind of what Ariane was talking about earlier. Like it still can seep through, as much as like, even if you say fuck that, like I'm not messing with that guy, like it could still kind of find its way in.
Yeah,
if you're not.
I can relate to that, because I've definitely said fuck that to certain people, but then they get to you, that one thing they said, you lying there like fuck, you can't just get it out of your mind. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can relate to that. But I guess for me is, I guess one of the tricks that I've learned is that I only care about criticisms that come from certain people, people whose opinion I actually respect, depending on what it is, we're talking about. If someone criticizes, a video I make, and I know they're a shit filmmaker, or they just don't do it at all, it's like it's nothing. It's water off my back, right? But if it's someone who I actually respect, they say, oh, that's when they take your heart and just just crush it. But I guess because I came from a stage acting background, I just got used to criticism and built that thick skin. And when you get criticism from the right people, you just take it and you try to improve on it. And then if it's from other people like critics, I could care less what critics say. And I'm not a big fan of critics in general. I feel like anybody can criticize, but not everyone can make something, right? I always have much more respect for the person who's making crap content, but at least they're putting it out there.
Yeah, they're trying.
Than anyone who just makes these videos that all they do is just bash on other people or review things. It's like, you're not really making anything. You're not putting yourself out there. I'd much rather, be that person making the crap content. But unfortunately, on YouTube, a lot of what gets a lot of hits is those, reaction videos. 10 mistakes this person made, this is why this ending sucks so much. But I don't consume that at all. I just, I don't know, somehow I just came down this path of I've really learned to avoid the hate. And my life is probably better for that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I gotta pee really bad. We've been going for a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was good. This was good.
Yeah, this was great. This is more than, I mean, I try to come into things like this without expectations and just kind of live through it and have a good time. But this definitely exceeded, I mean, any expectation I would have had. So it was a pleasure. It really was, Mike.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. You guys didn't help me out too much with brainstorming ideas for your intros, but
I gave you the best idea.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. No, but yeah, Ariana, definitely want to have you on as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to
it.
it.
I think your email's on the calendar invite that you sent me, right,
Yes.
Miles? His email.
Yeah.
I'll contact you through there. Then Miles I'll definitely schedule you. What I'll probably do is I'll go ahead and schedule both of you for a podcast just through Zoom, and then we'll figure out the intro. Another point, like I said, it's better just to keep moving forward and figure it out later on. Right? Cool.
Do you want to share with the listeners just like where we can find you?
Yeah, the best place to find me is on YouTube, Mike and Chris on this. So you guys know how to spell Mike. The end is the ampersand symbol, the end symbol. Then Chris is spelled Kris. So that's Mike and Chris on this on YouTube. And then it's just my name on Instagram, Mike Libunao. And I know everyone doesn't know how to spell or pronounce that last name. It's a real Filipino last name. So the last name is spelled L-I-B as in boy, U, N as in Nancy, A-O. So yeah, there you go. As you can tell, I've had to do that many times in my life.
I can tell.
Good practice.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? When I was growing up as a kid, that first day of school when they're going through that roll call, I always dreaded, my name popping up because I knew the teacher just didn't know how to say the last name.
Ripped it up.
Yeah, I used to be so embarrassed about it. I was honestly even embarrassed about my heritage because of that. But as you grow older, you become proud of it because it's unique. And if they can't pronounce it, fuck them.
I like it.
It's my general motto in life. It's like, fuck them.
That's gonna be the title.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. That's a good one.
So where can I like if I want to drive people to the podcast, where does it go up? Is it on iTunes? Is it on YouTube?
We use Anchor,
and
then it goes to all the places.
So where they can find it usually.
Yeah. We can give you a link maybe to the Spotify.
Yeah, because I'll definitely mention it too. Just let me know when it's going to go up, and then I'll mention it during the weekly vlog.
Okay. Yeah. We might throw it up just today. So
okay, just let me know. I'm sure you can drive hopefully some listeners and viewers to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't have the biggest following yet, but it won't stop me from trying to, share and support you guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And same way to, I mean, if you're listening to this in the future, definitely follow Mike. Great content, and it makes you laugh in the morning.
Conversation. All right, guys. I'll see you.
All right. See you
Later.